moment you pick it up, you know this is a phone that wants to be held. It slides into your palm with a quiet confidence, cool metal where it matters, a satin glass back that resists fingerprints more than you expect, corners sculpted to catch the light just so. From the first second the screen wakes, it feels less like an object and more like an invitation, a deep, luminous window that doesn't shout for attention but commands it. This is the Galaxy A7, the 2026 edition, a phone that wears restraint as a kind of luxury and delivers little surprises everywhere you look. Open your eyes to the display and you're met with an expanse of color and contrast that belies the price bracket. The panel is bright without being garish, the whites feel warm and natural, and the blacks, true enough to let content breathe. Scrolling through photos, web pages, and menus is buttery smooth, animations have a satisfying physicality to them, like leather stretching under a careful hand. Whether you watch a movie in a dim room or scroll news in broad daylight, the screen adapts and holds its own. The bezels are thoughtfully thin, and the front camera is tucked away in a small, polite punch hole that never feels intrusive. For a phone that's meant to be used all day, the display is the place where good taste meets utility. Flip it around and the camera module reveals itself, deliberate lenses arranged with humble authority. This phone's camera system knows what it's supposed to do: capture honest moments, not chase meaningless megapixel wars. Daylight shots are crisp, with a clarity that keeps texture and depth intact, sky gradients don't band, skin tones avoid the cartoonish glow that some phones love to give, and dynamic range is sensible enough to rescue detail from bright highlights without flattening the rest of the scene. Night is where the software earns its keep. You won't get flagship-level miracle light, but long exposure night shots that the phone stitches together offer usable, atmospherically rich images that look like they belong to a more expensive device. Portraits render subjects with a pleasing separation from the background and retain natural bokeh without overcooking edges. The ultrawide is serviceable when you need it. It's not the star, but it widens the story in a pinch. Video recording is steady, colors remain authentic, and audio capture makes your clips feel more immediate than they have a right to at this price. Under the hood, the A7 doesn't scream for attention, it just gets on with things. Everyday performance, launching apps, switching between tabs, casual gaming, is confidently responsive. Heavy multitasking is handled with a calm that suggests the platform was tuned with practical use in mind rather than benchmark theatrics. Thermal behavior is commendably restrained too. Even after a sustained session, the phone stays within comfortable temperatures, and long calls or map navigation never feel like they're driving the chassis towards stress. If you're the kind of person who values reliability and polish over flashy numbers, this is the kind of workmanlike competence you'll grow to like. Battery life is generous without needing to brag about absurd numbers. You get through a full day of mixed usage, messages, social feeds, a couple of camera sessions, streaming a bit of music on your commute, and still see comfortable reserves by bedtime. The charging system is practical and thoughtful, quick enough to be useful when you're in a rush, and implemented in a way that doesn't demand you cut corners on cable quality. There's an understated confidence in the way the phone manages power. It conserves when you need economy, and it releases when you need speed. Software is one of the phone's strengths. The interface feels familiar to anyone who's used modern Samsung handsets, One UI refined, but this edition brings subtle improvements that make daily interaction smoother. Widgets snap into place with less fuss, notifications are friendlier and less cluttered, and a handful of well-designed gestures save tiny seconds which, over weeks, add up to a more fluid life. The phone is also keenly respectful of privacy and settings, with sensible defaults and clear controls for what apps can access. If you appreciate software that listens to you and gets smarter without shouting about it, you'll enjoy the way this phone behaves over the long term. On the connectivity front, the A7 keeps pace with modern expectations. Downloads are brisk where networks allow, Bluetooth pairing is predictably painless, and the phone doesn't invent problems where none should exist. Speakers are louder than you'd guess and manage to sound pleasant at high volumes, maintaining a clarity that keeps podcasts and calls intelligible even in noisy places. The in-call microphone filters ambient noise in a way that keeps your voice present and natural, which is more important than most spec sheets will admit. Design choices here feel mature. There's an economy to them, a restraint that rejects gimmicks. The tactile feedback from buttons is crisp and satisfying, ports are placed thoughtfully, and the antenna lines are discreet enough to be invisible in day-to-day life. The chassis feels stable without pretending to be indestructible, it's a companion, not a tank. Small details add up. The texture along the edges helps you keep a steady grip, the finish resists fingerprints just enough to stay presentable, and the weight distribution makes one-handed use possible for longer than you'd expect. Audio and media consume in a way that's pleasurable, not excessive. Stereo speakers present a decent stage, and while bass isn't thunderous, the overall balance is warm and full enough to make video watching and music listening satisfying on the go. If you pair good headphones, the phone rewards you with a crisp, detailed soundstage that reveals nuance in tracks you thought you knew. When it comes to value, the A7 is positioned carefully. It doesn't try to be the cheapest, instead it